Hi, Piggy. Hey guys, so this is our smokehouse, and this week we are butchering ducks and a pig. Animals that we're butchering a little bit later down the road are going to be rabbits and a sheep. I think that's it. So this smokehouse was built from remnants of this deck. In the beginning, this was a gazebo. So it already had the 4 posts and it was built into the deck. It had a hot tub in it, and our neighbor and John took the hot tub out, got it out over the fence in one piece, took it to the landfill. And then John built a floor in and walls, he put a door in, and we were ready to go. What we have learned since then is that the spacing in between our upright 2x4s is too large. The research we'd done said that we needed to have really good airflow in order to keep things dry. The problem with that is all the books we were reading were from the south, where you really need to have airflow, airflow, airflow. Here we're very arid. Airflow and moisture content in the meat is not a problem for us. Things dry instantly here. So we could have put all the boards right next to each other and we still would have been perfectly fine. So what I'm going to do is the plastic that I just took off the greenhouse, I'm going to put it on the inside of the smokehouse because we're going to have a ton of meat to smoke this time around. We're going to have somewhere between 12 and 14 ducks and then 1 300-pound pig. So that's my project today. I'm going to kind of walk around and show you the animals and the mentality of why we are butchering them at a certain time. The reason I'm not butchering the sheep right now is because we have lots of hay. I have lots and lots of hay, enough for the winter and through till next summer. And because of that, I'm not hurting for feed on the sheep. I can wait on the sheep till I have all this other stuff processed that is kind of an emergency. The reason it's an emergency right now is that I have run out of money for feed. So for one feed trip for me, I'm generally looking at about $120 every 6 weeks. It's worth it to me. The ducks are rooting around and weeding everything. The pig is eating all of our food scraps, so his feed bill would be twice what it is if I wasn't giving him feed scraps and that kind of thing. But when you come into winter, the only thing I keep is breeders. I do not keep juveniles unless they're going to be my layers for next year. I do not keep excess rabbits. In the summer and in the spring, I take cuttings off of trees. We have garden that needs to be thinned out, and we have so much food for the rabbits and for the ducks that it's no problem just to keep everybody fed on very little retail feed. In the winter, the only thing I have to feed them is retail feed, which at a price of somewhere between $12 and $20 a bag is a lot of feed when you have 12 and 14 ducks. And when you have a pig that goes through somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 pounds of retail feed a day. So, this is how I do what I do without going broke. I put the rabbits and the ducks out in the greenhouse to keep them warm so they're not burning as many calories. When I have a pig, I feed him only warm feed. I heat it up on the wood cook stove. Any calories that need to go towards keeping them warm are calories that are not going to putting on fat and meat. I am always sad at this time of year. I always cry when I butcher a pig. I always do. They're too much like a dog not to cry when we butcher them. The ducks, I love my ducks. They're my favorite poultry. And so I cry when I butcher my poultry. But I'm gonna go around and see if I can get some shots of all the different animals that we're about to butcher. And I will show you the inside of the smokehouse so you can see that. But I've raised all this meat on very, very little, and now I'm going to butcher it myself. A lot of times when you have somebody else butcher it, the cost of feed is mirrored by the cost of the butcher fee. It kind of depends on how much of your own food you grow for your animals. For us, that's about what it is. I'll have put about $150 worth of feed into my pig by the time he is ready to butcher. And if I took him to a butcher, it would cost me about $150 to have him butchered. With the ducks, I can't even find anybody to butcher them. It used to be $7.50 to have a duck butchered, which, considering that I get all of my ducks for free off of Craigslist after everybody has raised ducks and decided they think they're messy, I take everybody's free ducks, I feed them for a couple weeks, and then I butcher them. Because of the bulk, because of the huge amount of meat that I have coming in at any given time, I have 3 freezers, And then we also have a meat locker at our local butcher that we can rent for $30 a year. That's how we do it. The nicest thing though is if you have a smokehouse, your animal can hang in the smokehouse all winter long. Because it's, well, at least in our climate we can. It's cold in the winter. You can see I've got air, you know, steam coming off my breath. It's always going to be colder in the smokehouse than it is outside the smokehouse because of the air ventilation and the fact that it's shaded. Even in summer, it's cool in there. So once we've salted and smoked things, they can just stay out in the smokehouse and they're fine. And if you have any questions, make sure and leave them in the description. I do have videos on feeding the pig by having it cook on the wood stove. I have a lot of videos that are a little less formal. What else do I have? How we raise ducks using our brooder, how we feed our rabbits in the summer, and I'll try and get some links up to those so you can find them. This is what it looks like in the off season. It looks like we need to disconnect some things, pull some things out. That this room has just been used for storage. I had pulled all of my bacon in and put it in the kitchen. I actually don't know which one of these is the mom. I'm assuming this one. It looks like she has teeth, so it's probably this one. We have already butchered most of our chickens for the year. This is the rest of them. We have 1, 2, 3 more to butcher. And they need to go in the greenhouse as well. They have plenty of food, but when it gets this cold, particularly the chickens, they want to roost, and when they roost, their feet freeze. And so that's one of the reasons I have to put them in the greenhouses, because otherwise where they want to roost is up on top of that. And when they roost up on top of that, their feet freeze. These guys are our little babies that we hatched out this spring or this fall. They like to stay together. The cats are pretty much the only animal we don't eat on our homestead. And we keep cats because they keep the mice down, but also because they will eat the meat scraps that we can't feed the pig. Or if we don't have a pig, they'll eat all the food scraps, and it keeps us from having stinky food scraps in our compost. Alright, so this is Palomino and Midge. Midge is the one slated to be butchered, but I am in zero hurry about it. We have so much hay. They go through about a bale of hay a week, and that's being generous. You can see how much hay they don't eat. And I use that hay, the little sticks that are left over, as their bedding. So rather than buying straw, I take their leftover hay that they're not going to eat and I use it as bedding. So I find sheep an awful lot easier to butcher than pigs. I don't know why. Probably because I don't have to scrape them, I just have to skin them. And then we have a female sheep whose name is Heidi that is at the breeders right now, so that hopefully we will have lambs in the spring and we won't have to bottle feed babies. We believe he's a polypay. Both of them are polypays, are my opinion. They're not good wool sheep, but we can get them for $7 a piece locally. And so it's economical. And little Miss Palomino is giving us a lot of milk right now so that we can keep Abraham the pig really happy for the next few days until we're ready to put him in the smokehouse. Alright, so Abraham the pig has been Kaya's project this year. And so I have given advice, but I have pretty much just left it to her. I did go get a really nice electric fencer. If you're going to have pigs, you need an electric fencer unless everything is set in concrete. Hey, Abraham. He's a Berkshire. And he's got really big, just about big enough for our family. If we got him a lot bigger, it'd be hard for me to butcher him myself. So he had a breakfast of feed mixed with milk. We had a pool out there for him in the summer. What we had to do with the shelter is there's 3 stakes on the inside, garden stakes on the inside, and then 3 stakes on the outside. Otherwise he will push his shelter all over inside here, and it will run into the electric fence and short it out. So it keeps it from blowing away, and it keeps it from hitting the electric fence. Now, that is the feeder that I love more than anything when I am doing pigs. However, it was the kids who came in and set it up this time. Instead of setting up 2 stakes, one for each side of the bucket to be tied to, they set up 1 stake. And so he was able to flip it and twist it, and he's broken it off. And he is getting big enough that he can kind of manhandle you a little bit, and he's a male, so he's got tusks. And I don't want the girls in there with him anymore to fix it. So yet one more reason why we are putting him in the smokehouse this week. Again, I love this fencer. I haven't tried one of these before. It's a solar fencer. It's a Patriot SG80. First year I've tried them. I love it. It has these little clips that go right on the wire, and it just worked so well. I've had other fencers that didn't work, that were a lot more expensive. I think this one was like $130, and I got a discount on that, so I actually only paid $65 for it. It's fantastic. Other things. We put a bale of grass hay into his pen instead of straw. Straw has been generally treated with glyphosate, with Roundup equivalent in our area. If you have straw from wheat or rye or anything like that, it has been treated with a lot of agricultural pesticides and herbicides. And so I buy grass hay that has not been sprayed, and I use that as my bedding for my pigs instead of straw. I don't want them eating or absorbing in any way any of those chemicals, just because we're super sensitive to it.